here and where do we go and knock on me so hard? It's not always easy and sometimes life can be deceiving.
My name is Rachel Balaban, and I came to Golden Pond today to teach the residents a class I teach called DAPPers, or Dance for the Aging Population. And it's very loosely based on another class I teach called Dance for Parkinson's disease. And so I've been trained to work with this population, with people who have mobility issues. But really it's about dancing for everyone, because it's quite often that we all have some movement issue that inhibits our free range of motion. And I do this now once a month with this group at Golden Pond, and we see people really become engaged with each other, with their own bodies and with their community, and people really are transformed by this sense of movement and spirit and community.
All of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
We started with the sun salutation, and that is a wonderful way for us to connect the yin and the yang within each of us, kind of the more powerful, grounded nature and a more ethereal, light, independent nature. And then we moved through various pieces where we were becoming more free with our upper body and torso. We went into the name game, which is something we always like to do so that people get a sense of who each person is in that moment today. Even though these residents know each other probably for weeks, months, or some years perhaps, each day we are different, so we get to express ourselves in that moment. And we did a bit more upper body, and then we had this wonderful guest Swami who offered one of his movement exercises. Then we did a bit of footwork, because it's very important that we maintain flexibility in the ankles and feet. And then we moved into a more kind of choreographed repertory, which often I will do moving across the floor, but for the purposes for today, being outdoors, we felt it was best to keep it at our chairs. And then we did something that's really quite powerful. It's an improvisation, kind of a creative movement piece where we were just moving to music that inspired us very differently for each one of us. And lastly, we did our closing piece, where it's in a ballet class, it would be called Reverence, where we come into a circle and we have this period of really connecting with each other. And I find it's very, very powerful that people rely on that piece as well as the opening piece as their kind of bookends for the class. They know what to expect. And the Face of God, which is a song we played for our last piece, is very powerful and connects us all in very, very profound ways.
All right, and how long have you been doing this type of thing for?
I've been teaching this for about 8 years now. I teach it at Connecticut College, I teach it in Newport, I teach it at Brown University, and now I teach here as well.
Did. Take a look at these mice. What you're going to see in a second. See, Tony, there on the right, you've got a mouse. You see he's kind of gray, the one on the right, and he's kind of balding a little bit. And so he was not treated with this genetic engineering, but they did treat the one on the left. And so gray hair became dark again. Shrunk braids that had kind of shrunk with age sort of de-shrunk, as it were. The old mice, their fertility was really plummeting. Their fertility was sort of born again after this genetic treatment.
But we don't have a before and after.
Well, you can that's not really a before and after, but you can kind of see the guy on the right is old. The guy on the left was old, but now he's young. Was old, but now
we'll take your word for that.
Yes, okay. So that's basically what we're seeing right there. So I want to bring in Dr. Ronald Pino, who's at the Dana-Farber Cancer Center, which is affiliated with Harvard Medical School, and he is going to talk to us about the incredible things that he did. Dr. Pino, great to see you.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for your interest.
Oh, great. So have you found the fountain of youth?
Well, what we've learned is that there is a point of return for even aged tissues, that tissues retain the remarkable capacity to rejuvenate if you remove the underlying cause of the aging, which in this case was excessive DNA damage in the mice. And DNA damage is a major cause of aging. And essentially what we did in these mice was to have increased damage and then erase that damage. And we were expecting an attenuation, a slowing of the aging process. But what we saw, as you described in your lead, a remarkable reversal of many of the signs and symptoms of aging.
So, Dr. Pino, if I came to you and let's say I said, "Hey, I'm old. I'm 70 years old, and I want to look young again. I want to be fertile again," could you do it?
Well, I think the implications are that if we understood the basic underpinnings of aging and were to alleviate that there would be the potential for increased healthy living. Whether or not there would be a significant reversal, a Ponce de Leon-like effect, I think remains to be determined. We have to keep in mind that in natural aging, there are many factors, many co-conspirators that cooperate to compromise the health of the individual. And so one would really need to understand all of those factors and reverse them in order to have the sorts of result that you're having. But again, it does teach us that there is a point of return even for fairly degenerated tissues.
So you went in, Dr. Pino, and you messed with the very DNA of these mice. You went into their genes and played around with them. Is it even legit to do that on humans? Is it okay?
Well, we're not in the business of genetically engineering humans, but there may be pharmacological means by which one can reactivate, reawaken the gene that is responsible for repairing the DNA, particularly the DNA at the tips of chromosomes, which become frayed. This is an enzyme known as telomerase. And one could imagine that reawakening the telomerase enzyme, which is normally low or absent in our cells, could reset the clock, the rejuvenative potential of our tissues.
So do you plan on studying this in humans anytime soon?
Well, I think that the mice have been really outstanding in illuminating the complexity of human biology. So I think these insights now give us a path towards trying to at least quell the type of damage at the tips of chromosomes that might impact on years of healthy living in humans in the years ahead.
Okay, Dr. Pino, thank you so much. Exciting work and congratulations.